Turn plain text into groovy designs using the Warp feature. It's super simple and fun, and I'll show you all of the steps in this video. Welcome back to Silhouette Success, and if you are new here, welcome. I hope that you will join our growing community. We reached 875 members last night, and I am so excited. I want to thank everybody that hit the like button or subscribed or commented or shared. It helps me out a ton, and I really do appreciate the effort. Now, this is a no fluff tutorial. There is no project, but there is a lot of information. So if you are ready to learn something new today, let's do this. Your page setup. Sometimes the page setup comes in a little bit wonky. I'm just going to go ahead and set my media size to a 12 by 12. That looks better. I also have my Cameo 4 selected and a 12 by 12 cutting mat. Today we are going to be working in the Warp panel. You can find it on the right hand side towards the bottom. Sometimes it is in a little drop down box. You can find it with a little arrow pointing outwards. It depends on the size of the screen that you're working with. I'm on a larger screen today, so I do not have the arrow. It's just shown here on the right hand side. If you can't find it there, you can go up to panels, click on that, and right down here is Warp. That will open it as well. I'm going to start by typing out some text. Now I've typed out first grade vibes, and it is 3 different elements now. I have first, I have grade, and I have vibes because I want to manipulate each one of these separately. First thing I'm going to do is select all of them and color them in so we can see them a little bit better. Just make them black for now. I'm going to separate them just a bit. Next, we're going to choose our font, and I'm going to go with PN Boogie Woogie. It's a nice little retro font. And then I'm going to align all of them to the left. So the left-hand side is completely lined up now. And I want all of these to be the same width. Okay, once they are all aligned, I am going to line up this line here, the right-hand side of the bounding box, with the 5-inch grid mark. Then I'm going to select first, and I am going to move this line out to the 5-inch mark. Just stretching the text until it is exactly the same width as grade, and then I'm going to do the same thing with vibes. Okay, now all of my text is the same width, and I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it just a bit so we can see really well. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the Warp panel. We're going to select first, and then we're going to warp selected shapes. I want quite a bit of curvature to my words, so I'm going to increase the number of columns. The columns right now are set to 1, and that means you have 2 orange boxes. This is a column in between here. Let's increase it. It's added another orange block here. So now you have 1 column, 2 columns. Now I want the top of first to stay the same, so I'm not going to mess with any of these points here. I want the bottom of it to look wavy, So I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring this up just a bit, not as much as the first one. And then we can adjust the red points in between. If you pull it side to side, it warps the letters to left and right. When you pull them up and down, it warps the letters up and down. If the grid is in your way, you can click off of it. It will disappear. And then you can see exactly how the text looks. I'm okay with that for right now, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on grade. I'm going to pull it up just a bit. Now that it's selected, I'm going to click on Warp Selected Shapes. And again, it brings up the editing points so that we can warp it. I'm going to click this to 2 again. So now I have 2 columns as well. I'm going to start with the middle orange handle and pull up until it's just about even with first. And then I can work on the other ones to get them where I want them. I'm trying to get an even amount of space between all of the letters up here. Now on this one, I also want the bottom to wave a bit. I'm just going to bring these up kind of so that it follows along with the top curvature. This part doesn't have to be exact. Again, it's just a matter of getting it to how you want it to look. Now, if you find that you're adjusting the outside points, but the inside starts to look a little bit wonky, you can grab these little blue dots inside. They're a little bit hard to see sometimes, but you can pull them around too. Click off. I think that looks okay. Now for vibes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it off to the side just a little bit. I'm going to click on that and then warp selected shapes. I'm going to adjust my columns to 2. And I am going to leave the bottom alone on this so it's a little bit squared up. When you get to this point in your design and you're happy with all of the letters, you can click on first and it will bring this grid back up, and you want to click on release warp. If you're not happy with the way it looks and you want to start over completely, you can click on restore original shapes. I'm not going to do that right now. So let's release the warp. And then you can see it has taken all of the letters and made them individual elements. This is no longer grouped together. Let's do the same with grade and vibes. Sometimes this can take a minute or 2 to process. It is taxing on the system. Now that I have all of my text warped the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some fun hippie elements. I'm going to place a flower here and just sprinkle in some stars. I think that is okay. Okay, we're going to create an offset for the flower. I usually like to go right around 20, 25. When I'm doing a knockout design, I'm going to click apply, and then we are going to grab it and move it off. Oops. I want the offset, not the design. Let's put that back. And let's zoom in here for a minute so we can see better. Okay, now we want to grab the offset, zoom back out. Now we are going to release the compound path. We want the outer line, and we can delete all of these bits from the inside. We can select our flower and the outline and center. Now let's move our flower away. Seems I had another outline there. Let's delete that. Now we are going to select the E and the flower and the S. We are going to open up the modify panel and subtract all. Move this away. Let's go ahead and select these two and turn them black again. We're done with the offset. Let's get rid of that. And we can move our flower back into place. I want to add a little bit of color to the letters. When I'm doing retro type colors, I like to use the third row here. Now for the second round, when you pull down your colors, you can see that they're all here. You can just keep picking from this top row to make sure you've got all of the same colors in your letters. Now this design can be cut out of vinyl, or it can be used as a sublimation design as it is full color. Let's grab everything, right click, and group. We can set this off to the side now. I'm going to go ahead and type out the same thing, and we'll do a different design with it. I should have just duplicated it to begin with. Again, I'm lining up this edge. I want them all the same width. For this design, we're going to warp these letters so that they fit within a circle. So I'm going to draw an ellipse. Come over here. I'm going to hold down my shift key so that it's a perfect circle. I'm going to grab the circle and the word grade, and I am going to center them. Actually, I want the word grade to be taller, so let's pull that a little bit. Select them both again and center. That does not look centered. Let's just eyeball it here. That looks better. Now the only thing we're going to warp on grade is this edge here. The G already fits a circle pretty well. And I want the top and the bottom to stay flat. So let's select grade, open up our warp panel, warp selected shapes, and just work with these two red dots here. Pull them out just a bit so that the E forms to the circle a little bit better. Let's bring first into the circle, warp selected shapes, bring our columns up to 2. There's first, And now let's work on vibes. Warp selected shapes, columns up to 2. And it is easier if you start with the orange boxes first and then adjust the red points. I'm going to restore original shape here for just a minute so that I can bump this up closer to vibes. That looks better. Now warp selected shapes, columns 2. Get the V inside the circle. Click off of that. We can take a quick look. And I see a few things. My F is too close to my G, so let's click on this and fix that. And also my V is outside of the circle here, so is my T. Let's fix that real quick. Now the V. Once you have everything looking the way you want it, you can grab the circle and delete that. Now we need to release the warp on each of these. I'm not going to take the time to fill these in with different colors today, but you can of course make this look exactly like this or whatever colors you'd like. Let's select all of these and group. We're going to skip ahead for just a minute to Conical Warp. Conical Warp is for when you're working with a tapered cup or something similar in shape, a flower pot, something along those lines. This is a relatively easy feature to work with. You need the measurement of the top of your cup, not measuring going around, just side to side. How wide is the actual circle? You need the height of your cup and the width of the bottom. Now, I do not have an actual tapered cup on hand, but I have found some standard measurements online. So we are going to go ahead and use those. Okay, so we have our design selected. We're going to Conical Warp selected shapes. And you'll notice that this brings up a pink outline. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see all of it. Okay, so this is the shape that you need to cover the entire cup. The next thing you want to do is plug in your measurements. This one is for the top width. You can double click and enter your measurement. I have 3.5. And you can see how the conical shape changes and also the design changes a bit. Let's do the bottom width. I have 2.5. And now we need to adjust the height. Double click and I have 7. Enter. Okay, so now you can see the shape of the cup, and you can also see that our design is entirely too large now. We can adjust that right here. It says design width, and we are just going to use the slider on this to adjust it until it looks like it's going to fit well. And then we can use the bottom one here, design vertical position. Use the slider and it will move it up or down. Then you can click apply. And again, you can see it's all ungrouped now, so we just need to right click and group. For this one, I'm just going to go ahead and type back to school. All in one text box. I'm going to select that, switch it to black so that we can see it better. Change the font. Let's do rodeo on this one. Back to our warp panel. Now we're going to go to the second tab, which is warp templates. And they have a bunch of choices for you to use. These are preset. And we can just click through a few of them to see what they do. Okay, so I have back to school selected. And just click on one of the templates. Again, you can click off to get rid of the warp box. Click back on it to bring it back, and you can still adjust these to make it more pronounced. And that's kind of a banner shape there. Let's restore the original shape now, and it goes right back to where we started. This kind of gives you a Star Wars type theme. Let's restore the original shape. There really are a ton of options in this tab, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. And when you have the design just the way you want it, of course, you're going to click on Release Warp. Right click and group. That was a lot. I think I covered it all. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If you missed the last video on the nesting panel, you're going to want to go ahead and check that out. It's right here. And if you are done with YouTube for the day, go create something amazing, and I will see you in the next video.